This week's Whiteboard Wednesday is all about taking an iterative approach to rolling out HR technology. Something that I think a lot of teams could improve upon, it's this whole perfect is the enemy of good, 80-20 sort of concept. So let's think about a specific project. Let's pretend that we're rolling out a new career website. And in this graph, the x-axis is time, the y-axis is value. So value that we're expending through money and resources, and value that we're capturing through convincing the right people to apply for our jobs. So at time zero, we spend a bunch of money, right? We spend money on maybe content creation, on the platform to host it, etc. And then over time, what typically happens is we get all of these internal resources involved. We get marketing involved, communications, etc., to make sure that our new career site is absolutely perfect. And then eventually it's launched, and over time, it accrues a bunch of value. However, this time period can be really long. It can be months, it can be even years. We've all been part of these projects where it's when are we just gonna launch this thing? And during that time, it's demoralizing, but also economically, you're just destroying value in your company. Versus, hey, we bought this thing, let's create something that's pretty good, and then let's launch it. And maybe the slope isn't quite as high as this one because it's not as good as this one that's kind of perfect. But we're gonna start to capture value, and then maybe over time we iterate and it gets better, and we iterate, and we're capturing all this sort of excess value. This is a little bit academic. But the area in between here is sort of the excess value that we've captured. We feel better about this, and we might have waited a lot more time because we're worried about making somebody internally upset or having something that is not perfect to launch. But realistically, all this extra time and money that we spend trying to make something perfect doesn't really add that much value, and it actually detracts from value versus this more iterative approach. And so what we're really doing here is we're launching earlier. We are using data to learn, oh, maybe the conversion rate on our new career site isn't as high as we thought it would be. Why is that? Well, we don't have employee testimonials. We don't have microsites. We don't have a talent community, etc. Okay, so let's learn. Let's use those learnings to change what we have, and then let's relaunch. Oh, the conversion rate went up. Why did it go up? Well, let's do more of that. We learned again, we changed again, we launched again, etc., etc., etc. You see this much more readily in engineering teams. Your engineering team probably in your job descriptions brags about how many times a day they push code. They're pushing code a couple of times a day, but these projects tend to take months or even longer for us to launch. And then many times there isn't a lot of iteration afterwards. And so what I highly recommend to all of the HR teams, TA teams that I talk to is to take an iterative approach. Don't be afraid to launch something early. Of course, this doesn't apply to something like a new payroll system where things have to be perfect, but it certainly applies to employee engagement, career sites, sourcing, a lot of other aspects of our jobs. Curious to hear what you think in the comments, and thanks for checking out the video.